All right, guys, so check this out. Have you ever heard of Goldbelly? Okay, so it's this amazing site where you can order the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the country, and they will ship it straight to your door. That's right, these guys will ship you Philly cheesesteaks from Jim's or Pat's in Philly, buffalo wings from the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, and even Kansas City's most legendary barbecue. So, if you're looking to host an epic Super Bowl party, go to goldbelly.com and get free shipping and 20% off your first order with promo code GAMEDAY.
To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever.
Okay, guys, welcome to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones and me, your podcast host, Tony Evans. Just want to say that this is a special episode this week because it's going to be it's basically a Patreon episode. That's what I'm trying to get out. So it's really, really hot, stinking hot. It's like the fourth day in a row we've had 30 plus degrees and recording studio gets a bit warm. But it's episode 206, so a Patreon episode for Laurie, one of my loyal Patreons. It wants me to do Amorphis and their album Silent Waters, which came out on the 3rd of September 2007. So it's quite some time ago now. It's a 10-song album. It's their 8th studio album, and it's actually, on reflection, a brilliant album and a great choice for their quite large amount of product that they bring out. So Amorphis themselves are a Finnish band formed in 1990, basically originally a death metal band, known now known more for its progressive sounds and its folk, and it's very European for a Finnish band. Of course, it's a very European sound. It's a very big sound. They have a large lineup of musicians in their band, and they do tend to really hit the festivals in Europe, Wacken and Bloodfest and Hellfest, and all that sort of stuff. They hit it really well, and they hit the mark beautifully. For me, they're from Helsinki, and we have. There's been a couple of changes in the band, but the lineup of this particular band, of this particular album is, and I'm going to really, really butcher these names, and please, my Finnish friends, do take pity on me when I have to say these. So from now on, it will only be their first names afterwards if I mention them. So Esa Hupanen, yes, I'm so sorry. Lead guitar. Tommy Kobiusari on rhythm guitar. Jan Rechenberg on drums. And then you've got Centauri Kallio on keys and Tommy Johansson on vox, sync on vocals. And you also get Nicholas Itellarivia on bass. Now, I have butchered those names, and I know I have, because it's quite an ancient tongue, Finnish. It's not a Latin derivated language. So it has sort of Nordic and sort of Germanic and all those sort of Swedish, and it has all those sort of derivations in the language, so getting the names right is quite tricky. But the album itself, and I think the reason why this was suggested by Laurie is that they played recently, a band played recently here in Canberra, where the drummer from from Amorphis was it played with an Aussie band here, and Jan, and such a nice guy. And this is how crazy people can be for as fans. Laurie's wonderful in that respect. That she just woke up one morning and went, "I want to go and see Amorphis," and they flew to Germany to a festival to see them. I think she went twice overseas to see them, just to see them, which is just wonderful thing for. It makes me smile, does it not? Like people can just have the whim, and music will do that for you. There's not many mediums that will make you suddenly just go, right, I'm going to go on a 24-hour flight across the world to see this one band. But as I said, they played the Melbourne band, the Eternal, played here in Canberra, and Jan is friends of the band and played drums on them. He's over here for a little while in Australia, and it was quite wonderful to see all the Amorphis fans at the basement could be big smiles on their faces, because normally you wouldn't see any of these members of these bands any up close or even get to meet them, because they're sort of big festivals. They're in the backstage, they don't mingle, huge, you're so far back that they're just sort of like tiny on the stage. So it was really nice to see the smile on both my friend Laurie's and Nikki's, one of the owners of the basement. They're both big fans, and to see look on their faces was just lovely. It was joyous as a friend and as a lover of music to see that. So I thought, well, let's do it. And when she said, can we do this album, I was like, yeah, why not? I'm really up for it. Let's have a go. Because I sort of knew Amorphis sort of here and there, but it was not a band that I would say that I knew a great deal about. But their sort of sound is it's quite unique in the effect that it's melodic, it's heavy, it's beautiful in parts, as all music can be, and brutal in parts as well. But it's also wrapped really, really heavily around their culture. I mean, culture is a word that we chuck around a lot, don't we? It's not just something that grows on a petri dish. Culture is it can be thought of as snobby. It can be thought of as it could be thought of all sorts of things. When you think about the word culture, it conjures up lots of different things in the imagination or in the mind. Sometimes it can be a barrier. Sometimes it can be a shield. Sometimes it can be a hindrance. But in this case, not so much, because the culture of the Nordic countries and of the cold parts of the world are so interesting and so contextual in their writings and their epic poems, that you get pulled into the mythos quite easily and quickly with them, and it sort of pulls you in, and you can't sort of get away really. So this album, I said, is the 8th studio album, and the track listing is it's only a short album. It's like 13 songs, but they're not hugely long tracks, and they're sort of, they don't hang around, but they also do leave a quite an indelible mark on your memory afterwards. Tracks like The Weaving, The Incantation, A Servant, Silent Waters, Towards and Against, Eye of Crimson Blood, Her Done, Enigma, Shaman, The White Swan, and Black River. I mean, they are quite literal in their titles, and they're quite literal in their music. So, as I was saying, it's based around. So a lot of the music's based around an old text, Finnish text, and I'm going to hopefully not butcher this, but the Kalevala is considered the national epic poem of Finland. It was pivotal in the creation of Finnish identity. It's there was a thing called the Finnish language strife, where, as I said before, it is a nation that has been occupied by many other nations, and for a long time the national language of Finland was Swedish. Up until 1917, the country was divided between Swedish language and Finnish, and the colonial power was Sweden. This led to the independence, the fight to get the language back led to the independence from Russia, and it's sort of then that they really started to how do I say this? They really started to take control of their own destiny, their language and their heritage. If you want to, if you want the equivalent of the Kalevala, is the Iliad. Quite possibly the Iliad, or even let me have some water. Sorry, guys. Or even maybe Beowulf could be equivalent as well. It's full of. It's also inspired J.R. Tolkien's Legendorium, the Middle Earth mythology, especially the children of the Hurin. It consists of an amazing amount of verses. I mean, this is insane when I read these stats. The first version was published in 1835 and consisted of 12,078 verses. The commonly known one, published in 1849, had 22,795 verses. Wow. And it's divided into 50 folk tales. You can get an abridged version that was released in 1862 that still has the 50 tales, but only has 9,732 verses. And I say only, that's pretty amazing. Now, before it was named the Kalevala, it was known as the Runic Song. So yes, it's relatively new in respect to ancient tomes, but it comes from an ancient background, and it's pulled together to make these incredible 22,795 verses. You can see why a band like Amorphis would not ever run out of concepts and ideas for the album. You can really see, you can see it. I mean, I don't know where you could just keep going forever and still probably not get to the bottom of it, right? So, Silent Waters. The lyrics are written by Pekka. I'm going to butcher this person's name. Kananlinian. Oh God, I'm sorry. So just say Pekka. Based on the Lemminkainen and that's again, it's Lemminkainen with an accent over the A. So it's difficult to pronounce. In the Kalevala, one of the main heroes in the story depicts he's depicted as a good-looking, fiery redhead. He is an amalgam of several heroes in the Finnish folklore. It's so the album is going to be, as you know, if that's what it's based on, it's going to be epic. From the moment that you put the needle in the groove to the moment you take the needle off the record, or vice versa, the CD or whatever way you listen to it. It is only the second of their albums to go gold in Finland. And in Finland, the heavy scene is extremely prevalent. I mean, they don't hide away and shy away from it and pretend it's not there and put it on the back shelves. It's up there and in your face. And I think that's probably why we are having a resurgence in these last couple of years of heavy music. It really seems to be moving in circles that it used to move in, and then got sort of pushed back in the mid 90s to late 90s. It feels like we're now feeling the norm again in so many ways. But as I said, It's quite a heroic album. It's got a beautiful artwork of a swan on a lake on the cover. It's not something for any of you newbies to sort of epic metal to be concerned about. It's not going to put you. You're not going to get put off. There's no heavy growling vocals, and there's no. It is heavy. It is beautiful, but it is progressive, and it is contextual, and it is rich, and it is a 50-odd minute journey of which you won't regret diving into. And once you've listened to this one, I really hope you do go back and listen to their other albums. And they are The Carillion Isthmus, 1992, Tales from the Thousand Lakes, 94, Elegy, 96, Tuonela in 1999, Am Universum in 2001, Far from the Sun 2003, Eclipse 2006, and of course the 2007 Silent Waters we were talking about, Skyforge in 2009, The Beginning of Times in 2011, Circle 2013, Under the Red Cloud 215, Queen of Time 2018. Did I say 215? You know what I meant. And in 2022, Halo. I said 218, didn't I? Anyway, it doesn't matter. You know what I meant. You know what I mean? I'm reading off a list and it's really hot here, guys. Please be patient. Yes, so, as I said, they start off as a death metal band, a death doom band. They've incorporated many styles like progressive metal, melodic metal, folk metal. And I genuinely think they're more towards the folkier, progressive side of the oeuvre now. Because I think as you grow up, I mean, it's easy. No, I want to say it's easy. It can be easy to just play the same old all the time. It's nice to grow and mature and do something different and find your place. And I think that Amorphis have definitely found their place in this niche of European folk progressive metal. Again, it's melodic. So you will find beautiful, intricate melodies. You will find a place to dwell up in and not want to be rushed through, which I found when listening to this album. It's sort of an album that does linger with you. It's not my favorite of their albums since listening back to that catalogue, but I've really, really enjoyed it, and I can see why Laurie and the fans thought it was a great album. I particularly like Am Universum 2001, but we'll talk about that another day, I suppose. Now, time to have a break. Need to get some water on me and put the fan on because I'm sweating like no one's business, and then we'll talk track for track on the other side. Bye for now.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
If there's one thing that my family and friends know me for, it's being an amazing gift giver. I owe it all to Celebrations Passport from 1-800-Flowers.com, my one-stop shopping site that has amazing gifts for every occasion. With Celebrations Passport, I get free shipping on thousands of amazing gifts. And the more gifts I give, the more perks and rewards I earn. To learn more and take your gift giving to the next level, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Hi, I'm Raj Punjabi from HuffPost.
And I'm Noah Michelson, also from HuffPost.
And we're the hosts of Am I Doing It Wrong?, a new podcast that explores the all-too-human anxieties we have about trying to get our lives right.
Each week on the podcast, Raj and I pick a new topic that we want to understand better and bring a guest expert on to talk us through how to get it right.
And we're talking like legit, credible experts. Doctors, PhDs, all-around superheroes.
From HuffPost and Acast Studios, check out Am I Doing It Wrong? Wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to part 2 of Heavy Monotones. This week's episode is a Patreon episode, as we mentioned before, Amorphis' Silent Waters. And we're going to jump straight into the first track on the album. It is Weaving the Incantation. Now, I did say before that the lyrics are not heavy and growly, and they're not. They are typical heavier vocal. But there is also a clean vocal in here as well, so it's a nice mix of both. This is actually my favourite track on the album, because I just love the way there is a fantastic harmony, sort of choral harmony, and it's almost angelic in a weird way, because the story itself, the lyric itself, is not a pretty story, okay, but it's a great way to start the album, to bring you in if you've never heard the band before, because it's got a huge, big production value. Particularly the way that the guitar sort of just attacks you straight as you off the starting line, and the drums are just after watching Jan play drums on a very small kit in a very small venue, he made that kit sing. It was like he was hitting it with 10-ton rods. It was the thundering he was getting from that kit, with that little energy as possible, it looked like he was doing. So you can imagine what he's getting at here in a really big, like in a studio or on a big stage. So it's really beautiful in that respect, that it you get Tommy's really heavy vocal, and you get some nice clean vocal. And the lyric here it's quite an interesting lyric here. I mind dejected, blood boiling with anger. The storm of the warpath now sings in my heart. Your pleadings are useless. I now shall disregard. I leave you to weep and to fear for me. I'm ready for my end. My hair I comb down with resin into braids. I'm ready to ascend. My will burning high, summon strength from the night. I equip myself to warfare. I prepare. It's a long lyric. There's a lot of lyric in this song, but you get the concept of it, right? There's some lovely, wonderful parts in it here. When my blood flows from its bristles, when my sap is streaming from the shaft, then you will know of my anguish. My destruction will be revealed. I'm ready for my end. It's just lovely, it's so epic, and it's so. And I hate to say Tolkien, because it's the only way I can really to relate it, but it does have that kind of cold, windswept tundra, big fur coats, and living season to season, and living on your wits and keeping yourself alive. It has that real feel to it, and a mystical feel to it as well, I think. Just really, really nice opening track. It mixes some nice clean acoustic kind of guitar in the middle section of the song, but it also sort of ends in a sort of fiery chaos of a battle in musical form and lyrical form. And you sort of get that as the song builds and builds and winds, and then it ends with this, amazing crescendo. My will burning high, summon strength from the night. I'm ready for my end. For my end. I think it's just someone who knows at that their time is short, and they will fight for their time. And while they're there and while they're keeping themselves alive, it's a struggle. It's a really fantastic piece of Finnish music. It really is. What a great way to start the album, honestly. Let's jump into A Servant, the second track on the album. Now, this is only like 3 minutes long. It's not a great long track. This is more of the deafy, sort of heavier vocal from Tommy, much, much more on this particular track, but it opens in a quite bouncy, upbeat Euro-style marching metal sound that I like to write. It's that real kind of sort of now the band I'm thinking of that this track reminds me of is a band called Sonata Arctica, and they're another Finnish band, I do believe, and they have this kind of same windswept epic sort of marching music, this heroic, I think is the term, upbeat metal sound, yet they mix it also with some heavier tones. And The Servant does do that again lyrically. It does go up and down musically. You know, you get a chorus with the nice clean vocals, you get the heavy vocals, which is something that is very much akin to their sound. Another band that does that quite well is the Australian band Neo Obliviscaris. I suddenly found out that Zen has left the band, which is a shame, and we'll talk about it again on another day. But that kind of sound. The lyric here is, what was denied from poor, I thought to be riches. I run from them there and then, I made me take my due. To death I plunge with joy my happiness to claim. I am prepared to face the war under the black soil. I'm righteous if I so desire until I reveal my worth and take to myself what was denied from me. I stalk them in their celebrations, I delve into their words. I aim at the highest of the high and decide it's time mine to take. Okay, there's again long lyric, right? I won't to cruel I was to cringe and fawn, a servant on hours of day, but holder of nocturnal sway. Now, this does, when I read this lyric, make me feel of Beowulf's monstrous character Grendel, that is the main evil protagonist. That is actually quite a sad character if you really read into Beowulf. It reminds me of that. It reminds me, you know, especially when he says, I stalk their celebrations, because that's what Grendel does. You know, he comes into the village when they're partying and destroys them and takes away their children and things like that. It's quite a, you know, it's quite a tense and dark story, but the music here does convey that. As I said, it's got that European sort of very leitmotif almost for metal. Where the extremeness comes in this music, really for me, is in the vocals, because the other way around, it's usually the music extreme and the vocals are, you know, are trying to catch up. This one, I think Tommy is really giving it some real oomph on the vocals on this one. Yes, they're a bit growly, and I did say before that it's a nice mix. It's not but it's no way an extreme album. So if you put it on, if you give it time, you'll find that it's nothing quite like some of the extreme stuff that is on the market these days for you to listen to. So it's actually a brilliant song. Just love the speed of it. 3 minutes it doesn't hang around. It's sort of leitmotif. In fact, I think it's a bit of a light relief after the opening track. So it's sort of lyrically maybe still dark, but that's metal for you. That's all sorts of things in that respect, you know. So, but for me, this is a nice lightness into what's to come on the album, because there are much heavier and much more intense tracks to follow, and the next one to follow is actually one of the lighter ones on the album. In fact, it's probably the lightest on the album. It's the title track, Silent Waters. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I was saying that A Servant was lighter, but in comparison, this is so soft. It's got a real beauty to it. It still has wonderful presence. I mean, the guitar soloing towards the end is wonderful. The piano at the beginning, with the build up for the crescendo into the music with a completely clean vocal, is lovely, and it's something that the Finnish progressive metal bands and the folk metal bands do so well, is that they can be chameleonic. 1 minute they're tearing your face off with the heaviest rhythm you've ever heard in your life, and the next moment they've got you slumped over, crying at the beauty of what you've just been listening to. And this has that. This is a cracker of a song, nice light interlude. Probably, as I said, it will be the lightest if I think about it. But when I say light, what I mean is it's a very soft. It's still heavy, okay. It's still got its moments that are fast, and like I said, the solo towards the end is beautiful. But the lyric here is: a day's light told me of my son's fate. The sun showed the way grim and severe. Poured under the raging waters, my child. Sank in the drowning currents, my son. My son, my son. My strength is not enough, my powers fail me. I need the heavens' help, for ask for thunder's force. I plead for you, O lightning, forge an iron tool. A magic rake for dragging a river for my son, my son. God of fire, bring you your light. Forge the sun, help me now. Guardian of the shore will sleep in your warmth. Lull the folk of cold water, banish the serpents of the dark. To the river let me go and fetch my son away, a rake made of iron from gods and skies, so on. So it must be, this is, to me, feels like it's something from the Kabbalah, as we talked about before, one of the 50 epic stories. Again, I don't know it well enough, and I'm sure that you could find out what it's connected to. But it is beautiful. It's sad. Of course it's sad. Someone's losing their child to drowning, it looks like, and they just weren't there to help, and they couldn't help. And there is very sorrowful, and the music comes across that way. It's almost like a lament. If you know what a lament is, right? It's like a sorrowful pleading to the gods to please give my child back, save my child. Like, why did you let them be taken away? It's quite tear-jerking, actually. And that's as I said, that's the beauty of an album by bands like Amorphis, is that you it's not one-dimensional, and you get such a fantastic journey with each track. But this one doesn't hang around too long. It's a 4-minute song, but it does have some really lovely stretches of beautiful melodic music in it. It really, really does. And like all of their songs, they seem to have this really good knack of ending on a fiery crescendo, a real... They don't just fizzle out. Some bands, they just fizzle out. It doesn't just fizzle out here. In fact, it gets heavier and heavier as the emotions get more and more into the music. When, my son, my mind, my son, my son, my son, my son is the chorus, and banish the serpents of the dark, to the river let me go and fetch my son away. And it seems to get much more, not angry, but the sadness of the loss really comes through in this particular track. And it's a beautiful piece of music, and you can see why they would call the album after this piece of music, because it is a stunning one. It'll be amazing live, I'm sure. Now we get to the meat of the album, in my opinion. Towards and Against is a really rocking piece of music, and it's one of those ones that you'll end up thinking about after you've listened to it. It's again the mixture of clean, ethereal, beautiful music vocals and heavy, aggressive metal style vocals. But it starts off. It's quite they're using musical techniques, keyboards and synthesizers and things like that to sort of create this sort of underworld journey. Feels like, to me, it feels like I'm in a cave. with water dropping on me in a cavern with a river flowing through it. I don't know, that's what I get summed up in the opening bits of music here before the lyrics sits in. But it does that, it goes clean to heavy, and it's got some of the best drummings on this album. On this track for me. Jan's drums on here, really precise, really cut through. It's produced beautifully, but the guitars, I mean, it's very difficult to say of any one member of the band any better than the other, because they're all so fantastic. They just gel really, really well. And the lyric, as you know me, I'm a lyric nerd, and the lyrics on this, once you sit down and read them, you really get to understand the epicness of this album. Okay, the lyric here is, I have known the arcane law on strange roads such as visions met, that I have no fear nor concern for hatred and obstacles of this world. By stone-shod wanderer I am taught, my visions from the fiery-eyed, iron-armed chanter. I know how to fight, I know how to sing, I know how to bend, I know how to break, how to break, how to break, how to break. I know I've not grown weary on lengthy roads. So, you know, as I said, it's epic. It's like it's a guy on a journey. It's on he's towards and against. So, you know, is he that could be quite read in two ways, couldn't it? I'm going towards you, but against you. So I'm marching forward, but fighting against. And this is the sort of thing I think you get from this particular piece of music. On strange lands, not gone astray, such is the knowledge casts in me. Such is knowledge, such are the skills. I know how to fight, I know how to sing, I know the way. So, you know, like a balladeer, a bard on his way on the roads. It reminds me of a book, characters in the books of Name of the Wind. You know, quoth of name, the character in Name of the Wind. It reminds me of that, and the story is based around that. So it's got it's sort of Tolkien-esque epic, but that's the basic behind it. Musically, it's very gallopy. It's got a nice, strong backbone to it. It isn't going anywhere. It's not pulling punches, but it also has some intricate and interesting musical asides with the keyboards and with the drumming, and the guitars are quite stabbing, but then also quite pretty. Then they're quite aggressive, and then they're fast. It's actually this is where the meat is, I think, on the album. It's almost like it's a battle within the battle on the song. So you've got the clean vocals as the hero, and then the heavy vocals as maybe the villain, and then it has this sort of ebbing to and fro in music that feels like they're parrying with each other. You know, trading blow for blow, and it's epic, really epic. And again, 4 minutes 50, so 5 minutes long, but they seem to be able to tell that tale in this album on this particular track. You know, I mean, I do, as I said, I think one of the opening track is probably one of my favourites. What a way to open! But this is, you know, you've had a couple of relatively quietish ones. Obviously, the last track was Silent Waters was obviously a nice relief, but this goes straight back into that fighting march music, and it's just epic. That is the word that sums up this album to me, is epic. Now, where can we go from here? I mean, it's just like, it's crazy on the quality of tracks so far. No filler, right? Well, we get Eye of Crimson Blood. First minute of this 5-minute track is quite a progressive, atmospheric piano piece, which builds and builds the drama and the anticipation on this particular track. And it's really, to me, this is a stadium song. This is an arena song. This is a song that you really would appreciate listening to with, 5 to 10,000 people all swaying and singing along. Because it's actually got, for its imagery, again, it's quite dark. but the vocals are clean here, and Tommy does a beautiful version on the lyric here, and on the vocals, and you still have your trademark Amorphis, crazy guitars, your wonderful, heavy thundering drums, the sort of bass that sort of it does its thing. It's not overkilling the rhythm section. It drives along with the drums, and of course the guitars are just, they're on the side of brilliant. They can go from hellish to clean and back again, with that blink of an eye. And there's the progressiveness of it, and there's the folkiness of this album. So the lyric is, I am of crimson blood, naught shall behold me. Mirror mine, the dark of night reflects me in water. Ablaze are my eyes, my soul consumed by woe, my braids weaved by the wind, an image black in my mind. Leave I must now with haste, me who tries to quiet life, me whose path leads to war, me who fears no death. I yearn for more. I yearn to rise. I yearn for everything. I yearn for you. I yearn to rise. Okay, now I do know that a lot of these lines, before I forget to say it, because I don't know this is a fact because I haven't said it yet, but I did read that a lot of these lines are actually in the epic poem, said epic poem, and they've taken some of these lines from said epic poem to add into the songs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the sing-along, I yearn to rise, I yearn to rise, I yearn for more. I yearn for more, I yearn to rise, I yearn for everything. I yearn for you, I yearn to rise. And then, this image of his braids flowing in the air, sort of very Viking-esque. I don't want to say Vikings because that's a different culture, but you understand where I'm coming from in there. It's just, it's a real epic stadium piece of music that when it comes onto your stereo, you'll probably want to turn it up one more notch, maybe even two more notches, because it really gets the blood pumping. It really does. And the piano is repeated in the second part of the song, creates that, again, brings you back down to earth, and as that sort of mysticism into the music. So I built it into the mysticism, and yeah, I'm sitting here talking to you about this album in the dark, almost in the dark, with the light fading over the horizon, and it really does very much make the album stand out even more to me when I think about it. It's an album for the nighttime, I think. Interesting, isn't it? I don't know if there are albums for the day or albums for the night. I've never thought about it, but I think this is an album for the night. This is an album for dusk, for a time of in between, the time of liminal spaces. It's a brilliant song. Now, after this, we move on to, I don't like the term ballad because I don't enjoy ballads really that much. You only have to listen to Ozzy Osbourne's later catalogue, God love him, but a little bit too much ballads, and this is the ballad, Her Alone it's called. It is a beautiful song. It's a nice heavier sort of lightness, if that's the right term, of sort of like the title track, like Silent Waters, but this one is a bit more obvious of what it means, and you can read this in the lyric. It clearly is about someone whose love, he or she, it doesn't matter, but whose love guides them and makes them. And we can all at some point in our lives sort of feel a kinship to that, right? The lyric here is, only one can make me do my good deeds, only one and the shadows of that one, only one can make me do my evil deeds, only one and the shadows of that are that one. Her alone I will lend my ear to, only her I will obey, her alone I will always want to serve, only her I will defy. So, it is a love story, because it's a love story to the person it's a dark love story, isn't it? It's a lovely sort of gothic kind of. He's obviously, enamored by this creature that makes him do good and bad, and he only they He says her, but this, I'm just trying to not offend anyone. Only her will he will do these things that define. Because let's be honest, you only really defy those the ones that you know you can do that too, and most of the time it's those ones you love, right? It's interesting. Only one can make me wage all my wars. Only one, and the shadows of that are that one. Only one can make me do all my deeds. Only one, the shadows that one. Her alone I will lend my ear to. Her alone I will obey. Her alone I will always want to serve. Only her I will defy. So even though it's a quite a romantic song, it's also very dark in the fact that he's saying that his alter ego, or maybe his alter ego here, I don't know, but or the demon or the goddess or the spirit controls him. He's acquiesced that he likes it, sounds like to me. My understanding her advice, birth of my knowledge, knowing under her advice, my desires I fulfill by revolting. Her alone I will lend my ear, only her I will obey. So it sounds like a toxic relationship, but ancient. But again, music, it's a great piece of music. It's piano filled. It's quite pretty. It's not light by no means. I mean, it's a heavy track. This isn't a light album. There are light moments in it, but it's not crush your cranium kind of heavy, if you know what I mean. The choruses are quite epic in the way that Tommy sings this. He's got a really great way of going up that sort of operatic tone, and then down into the growl of the earth. And here is that European sound coming through, that almost Eurovision sound, but that's not disparaging. I don't want to disparage people when I'm not being rude there, but you know what I mean, that kind of clean operatic rock sound that only the Europeans can do, and they do it so well, because they do it without jest, and they do it with passion and understanding. They're not trying to take the piss. If you know what I mean, they're representing, and they do it so well. Now, what's next on this amazing album? This one, Enigma, is a kind of drinking song almost. It's very yo ho and a bottle of rum kind of, tankards swilling with beers sloshing around a candlelit bar somewhere in the recesses of an alley in a over bustling ancient city. It has that kind of travel with along the road to destiny kind of feel. Again, really very European, very Aylstormy, very Viking metal kind of sound, but without the obviousness to it. It has it does have that epic poem feel about it. We've got acoustic guitars opening up. You can feel the sway. It's one of those songs that when you're in the audience, you would sway along with it, and you would sort of get into that groove. Again, it's clean vocals. It's heavy, but it's not knocking your face off heavy. It's not the extremity of extremes that people tend, they can be out there. The lyric is, on his trail the stones they grew. He was led astray, forces strange he had to face, magic unseen. When he asked, he was not answered, but when he would not yield, what he asked was not given, a shape to his dreams. To a whirling mass of water, mountains of high, his desire he spoke out to claims his due. A shadow moved in Louise's mirror, the fairest maid of them all. Restless mind found her to his liking, but the queen wanted more. Louise spoke in riddle tones of three things to achieve: find and catch the devil's moose and bring it to me, seize the stallion, ball of fire, harness the flaming horse. He captured and bound the moose, he tamed the golden horse. Still remained the one final test, hunt the bird from the stream of death. Still remained the one final test, hunt the bird from the stream of death. So you can see what I'm saying with that. It's that epic. Obviously, this is another one of the 50 poems that someone laying down the law, laying down his life for the person he loves, who has those 3 requests, the classic requests. My favorite one of those is the Monty Python one, where the king requests him to go down to the shop and buy a packet of cigarettes, and then come back to them and jump off the highest tower. If you know it, you know it. Anyway, it has that, as I said, tavern story of the bard, people sitting around, beards full of beer and greasy chicken and mead and roaring fires and the dark outside being held back by thick oaken doors. And it just has that. It has that feel, and it really sums up them in their folk orientation. This album has all sorts of wonderful things in it. You've got your progressive metal, you've got your death metal, you've got some black metal if you really want to look for it there. You've got modern clean stuff. You've got this sort of Viking Nordic storytelling metal, which also has a place and makes me smile. So the album has all sorts of stuff on it. It doesn't hang around. It really, really doesn't. It moves on, but it gives you something different every time. And then, now, so you get this track, Enigma. Oh, sorry, Shaman. Apologise. Shaman. And where we've had the bardic kind of concept, it flows on to a little bit more folky here with this sort of clean, ancient sounding guitar. And then it goes into overdrive and you get this really nice, bouncy. We haven't had a song quite as bouncy as this on the album, in my opinion, not as upbeat as A Servant. So this feels upbeat. It has a real speed to it, a real heaviness to it. Again, the clean and heavier vocals on this album, it's just exquisite. I mean, Tommy's voice is just brilliant. But the lyric, again, is quite dark for the music that it's behind it. It's quite a strange enigma. Interesting enough was the last song, wasn't it? Mother wept for her son, she wept and sang, anxiously pondered fate, his and her own. A sun ray in through the eye, glimmered in the room of mind, changing the woman's shape, sorrow fled her face. Shaman for the shaman, shaman into shaman, shaman for the shaman, shaman into shaman. From the chimneys a witch flew out, shaman dived across the sky, under the woods and lakes, till she saw the Northland gates. I've come for my son, where is my son? I expect no lies, no falsehood or deception. I send you my plagues unnumbered, destruction upon your house. I lay to waste your treasure. I slay your fairest daughter. The queen of the north told of the way, the road to the river black, impossible and incomplete, the path to no return, and a sun's ray in through the eye. So that's most of the lyric. So again, we get this narrative of the river black brought back to it, which must be something to do within the story. But get this here, Shaman. So this is again another kind of thick Grendel Nordic fairy tale. It's not fairy tale is the wrong word, sorry. Fairy tale, epic story. Obviously, it's what I'm reading is it's someone here is dabbling with the occult, with the shaman and the witches, and they want their pound of flesh, and they want their part of the bargain, and they're told to head to the River Black, and if they don't give what they're given, what they want, they will take them everything. And that's it feels that way in this song because it is really windswept and epic in its sort of textures and its horizons. It's very upbeat, as I said, more upbeat than possibly all the album except A Servant for me is the other upbeat track. So upbeat's a very tricky word to use, because a couple of words to use, because it is and it isn't, because it's a dark concept, but it's an upbeat rhythm. The construction of the song is upbeat. And it's got a lot of passion in the vocal, particularly when he brings in through the chorus of shaman from the shaman, shaman into shaman, shaman for the shaman, shaman into shaman, is really like, he really gives it all in that, and you can feel it when he's vocal. So it's a beautiful piece of music. And of course, we then have to move on, which is always a shame, isn't it, with music? You can't stop and listen to it again, but we have to move on. And to the White Swan we move. Now, this is back to their interesting use of heavy vocal, light vocal, and it's again epic in its rhythms and its movement. Opens with again a classical kind of piece of music, which then slowly crescendos into heavier music. This one here mentions the Black River again, the Black Stream. So might be something I've missed in interpreting the lyric on this album, because again, as I said, I've never read all those epic poems, and I'd need to have a hard physical copy of it. There might be some notes in the album. Anyone out there who knows this story or what the album is based on, please do reach out. I've had some fantastic feedback on the last album. The Coven review was really, really, really wonderful. To and fro conversation with a particular listener. So if you've got anything that you want to talk about on this album, please let me know, because I mean, I listen to this, but I might miss, I might interpret it different, of course. But the lyric is, I set out on the longest road to seek the answers from death. I set to the black sacred stream. Is that the sort of Finnish's equivalent of maybe River Styx? I'm not sure. On desolate and stony paths, from a mountain into a vale, I reached the shore and saw it come into my view, the swan. I took the arrow and raised my bow. I aimed below the graceful neck, under the white of its breast, inside the red of its heart. The surface of the river, calm and black, reflects the sky, the pale moon. So there is, for me, is a metaphor. It's not about massacre of the innocents. This is this beautiful white swan on this desolate black river. So it's obviously already it's a contradiction, or it's a good a dark and light, evil and good, but then he has to take the swan, he has to kill the swan to and this is something, and you get it on the front of the cover, because the front of the cover has a red swan, like a white swan painted red on it, on a black river, and it feels very, very sad that this is going to be the case. And it says here, the surface of the river calm and black, reflects the sky, the pale moon, and the gleam and glimpse caught on myself. I shattered the vision is ruined. An arrow from the water, serpent rips my mind into the black river of death with a slash across my heart. I took the arrow and raised my bow. I aimed below the graceful neck, under the white of its breast, inside the red of its heart. So, he's torn, right? He's torn about having to do this sacrifice. If anyone has seen the Ridley Scott movie Legend, the bit in there where it's actually one of my favourite movies of all time, where Lily is taken to see the unicorns by Jack, and no mortal should touch them, but she touches one of them through innocence, and almost brings down to the end of the world, darkness forever upon the world, and this sort of feels that way in this song. It is epic. Again, I use that word. Probably, if you're having a drinking game, maybe epic is the drinking word to be drinking to, because this is what it is. It's what it is. But lyrically, it's really beautiful. The concept of light and dark river, cold and deep and full of secrets and worries, whereas the swan is white and pure and floating and able to escape into the air, freedom. So it's like taking away of freedom almost as well, which is what's tearing him up. So it's, again, if this is one of those epic poems, please let me know, because it's a wonderful story. Either way, whether it is or isn't, it's a wonderful story. And actually, a great way to come towards the end of the album. We end on the Black River, and it is again it opens again as they tint on this album with some nice soft acoustic folk kind of music. And I think I've read this album wrong slightly. On reflection, when I think back at it, the Black River. So it seems like this whole album is a journey to the Black River. And I hope I'm right. And I'm going to have to listen back now and re-listen to it. I've listened to it a dozen times, but it's just about understanding it, I think, sometimes, and not being connected culturally to it. It's a bit more tricky. But it's again, you have the clean, you have the dark vocals, you have their wonderful use of modern recording techniques. The studio work is beautiful, but you also have individual pieces. Like I said, the piano work on this album all the way through is just sublime, and Tommy's vocals are just brilliant. But the rest of the band, they create an atmosphere in a way I don't think any other band around in that scene at the time now can create this kind of atmosphere. I'm really quite enamored by the way that they can create this sound. Now, the lyric is, still searching for my way, the right to be, still pondering what I've done, I'm still thinking what I said, still finding it from within, and all that I know is still not enough. I'm being held by the one, shadow tormenting my soul, the curving neck of the swan, the slow turning of a bird's head, so white its plumes and feathers, its breast like the moon in the water, silent and tranquil it moves on the river in the calm. See, so it is basically the second part of White Swan. It's his torture, his torturous soul about this thing that he has to do at the end of his journey, whether he has to do it or he wants to do it or he needs to I see the cuts and wounds of my deeds, they make me muse on life. Up the hill and the mountain, I look back, I look down, there flows the river of death, and there the wind in my hair. So, because rivers in ancient societies are boundary lines, are mystical places that transport the living, the dead to their resting places, particularly in Neolithic landscapes. They would often be used to transport from one place of living, maybe the barrow, the place of the village or the gathering place, on the river down to a site where the bones will be put in the ground or in a kisk, which is like an open tomb, or in a barrow, anything like that. But it's a transportation of life to death, spirit to afterlife. And this album sort of, I get that. That's after listening really thoroughly back to these last two songs, of all the stuff that's going on that I didn't quite understand, the last two tracks really answers it sublimely, that it's a man's journey or a person's journey to make this final decision whether they take this sacred life on the boundaries of their world where the river lays, and let it float sacrificial down to the bottom or not. And I think that's what it is, and it's just a cracking album. And if you do, like all music, dear listeners, you can listen to it and just enjoy it. You can just go to the festival, to the gig, and you can just let them play it, and you can not even think about what it means. You can just enjoy the music that pours from their hands and their minds and their mouths and their souls. Or you can do as I do and really dig into it and get something out of it in a deeper, more esoteric way. And I do enjoy it. Now, I know that I can be guilty of over intellectualizing music. Yes, I can. People have said it to me, and I get it. But albums like this and bands like this is what they do it for. They do it so that their stories and their culture and their beliefs never die. Because the more someone like me, a complete novice, dives into these stories, the more the stories stay alive. Is that not the case? Right. You only have to look at Aboriginal Dreamtime stories here. It's not a written heritage. It is a verbal ancestry, the stories here, vastly the oldest civilization on Earth. And so, we don't talk these things. They get lost. Very much like the stories that bands like Amorphis give to the world. So more for it, more like it, please. And I hope you enjoy the album. I really did, musically and lyrically, as you could probably understand. And thanks, Laurie, very much for suggesting it. And if you do want to suggest an album or a singer or a genre or a song, I don't really mind what you want to suggest something. I'm happy to do it. Just reach out and ask me. Obviously, if you're a Patreon, you're going to get first choice. And you go to patreon.com/heavymetaltones.com, and for $2 a month, you get that option, but it's also ad-free, and you get videos unedited that I do for Metal Ruse, my other side thing. Now, all that to sort of self-promotion aside, please do like and subscribe. Do give me a review. Flick up and give me a 5-star review if you can. If you don't, I don't mind. Any interaction is good, but the more that you like and subscribe and recommend to your friends, the more people see me in the algorithm, the more I get to do this show and the more things I can talk about. So, bye for now. Keep safe. Enjoy this epic album. Amorphis. They're a stunning band, and you're just going to absolutely love Silent Waters. Bye for now.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect Valentine's gift. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So, if you're looking for a Valentine's Day gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Hi, I'm Raj Punjabi from HuffPost.
And I'm Noah Michelson, also from HuffPost.
And we're the hosts of Am I Doing It Wrong?, a new podcast that explores the all-too-human anxieties we have about trying to get our lives right.
Each week on the podcast, Raj and I pick a new topic that we want to understand better and bring a guest expert on to talk us through how to get it right.
And we're talking like legit credible experts, doctors, PhDs, all-around superheroes.
From HuffPost and Acast Studios, check out Am I Doing It Wrong? Wherever you get your podcasts.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But some opinions are more useful than others. And we all want the good ones. The ones that shake things up, spark debates, and change minds. Financial Times readers know that their opinions are reliable because they're shaped by trusted journalism. Robust opinions, confident decisions. Source FT. To subscribe, go to ft.com/sourceft.